The United States is finally getting its own version of the Eurovision Song Contest. And I'm just going to assume that most people that watch this video already know what Eurovision is, but just in case there's some people out there that aren't familiar, I'll just give you a quick basic rundown. The Eurovision Song Contest is an annual music competition that started in 1956 that's organized by the European Broadcasting Union, and all of the participants are primarily from European countries. The most basic way I can think of explaining it is it's a giant battle of the bands between European and some non-European countries. Everybody that takes place picks a band or an artist to represent their country or territory, and they put them into this big music competition that goes weeks and weeks, and every week people are eliminated, and it's all voted on by the other countries, and eventually there's a winner from a country, and traditionally the country that wins has to host the competition the following year. And it's happened every single year since 1956, with the exception of 2020 because of the pandemic. But it's one of the most watched events, non-related to sports, every year. Hundreds of millions of views from around the world watch the Eurovision Song Contest. Sometimes there's great bands. Sometimes there's trash bands. And a lot of the times there's funny stuff going on, man. Some of these countries actually submit bands that they just think are going to be entertaining in kind of a joking way. Some countries do not take this seriously. But the fact that the US is finally getting a version of this kind of blows my mind, because I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm more leaning towards the fact that this is not going to go over well and it's not going to get good ratings. Now, I first heard about this maybe about 1.5 years or 2 years ago. I heard some talks that they were thinking about doing a US version of Eurovision. And I kind of got excited about it because I thought it would be cool. But then I really haven't heard anything about it until I was watching the Super Bowl last night and this commercial came on.
Every great song has its own kind of vibe, just like the streets they come from.
Now all that music from across America will go head to head
On one stage. Every state and territory will compete live for your votes.
in the biggest televised music event you've ever seen.
America's next great hit
Could come from your hometown.
American Song Contest premieres live March 21st on NBC.
And that was the first look at this for a lot of people in the US, man. I mean, what better place than the Super Bowl to put an ad for a new show? Because, I mean, we get that a lot. Movies, shows, trailers, stuff like that. Prime time for Super Bowl because millions of people are watching. But I was surprised because not only is it happening, it's happening soon, man. It said the first episode is premiering on March 21st of this year, which means they've probably been working on this for quite a while. So for the rest of this video, I'm just going to do some like raw on the spot detective work. I want to read about this, find out how long it's been in production, who's putting it on, what's happening, and just relay that information to you guys. And then I'm going to tell you why I think this is probably not going to work. So the first thing that I actually found here is a press release from the European Broadcasting Union. That's from May of 2021, so almost a year ago. It says the Eurovision Song Contest is going stateside as NBC secures the American Song Contest. Based on the world's largest music event, the American Song Contest will feature live original musical performances representing all 50 states, 5 U.S. territories, and the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. In the best Eurovision tradition, they will be competing to win the country's vote for the best original song. The live competition consists of 3 rounds as the acts compete in a series of qualifying rounds, followed by the semifinals and the ultimate grand final where one state or territory will emerge victorious. And from reading the rest of this, it does look like the producers that are working on the American Song Contest are producers that have directly worked with Eurovision as well. That's a good start. And on another website here, it looks like in May of last year as well, song submissions have already been open for the American Song Contest. NBC has opened its online submissions platform to allow artists to submit their songs for the upcoming first ever American Song Contest, which is set to take place in 2022. Like at the Eurovision Song Contest, all songs must be original and not covers, and those involved must be 16 years of age or older. Unlike at Eurovision, no rule for song length is listed at this time. I bet that's changed since then. There's no way that they're going to let Dream Theater participate and play a 15-minute song in this, right? Acts will be competing to win the national vote with the best original song. Each of the 56 entries will be performed by a solo act, duo, band, or DJ. The contest will be formed of 3 stages we already read all that. The winner is set to be determined by public vote and a jury of music industry professionals. We know how that goes.
Leider überzeugt die Musik von Eskimo Callboy nicht. Sie ist nämlich nicht radiotauglich.
Now, from here, what I'm reading on TV Line, it looks like this was supposed to start like a week from right now, but it got pushed back because of America's Got Talent's date being moved. And bringing up America's Got Talent is a good point, because that is one of the reasons why I think this is not going to do well, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Now, I came across some writers from some other outlets, like giving their opinion on what they think is going to happen with this. And I kind of want to see what they say before I give you my opinion. I don't think this will change my opinion, but I'm curious to see what other people say. According to a writer at Time Out, they said, on paper, the American Song Contest sounds remarkably similar to other fucking ads. They said, on paper, the American Song Contest sounds remarkably similar to other US shows such as American Idol, The Voice, and Songland, especially Songland. So how can it differentiate itself from the pack of American talent contests and achieve national domination? To start, it could take a cue from the real Eurovision, which is set to unleash itself upon European audiences this week. Okay, so this is an older article. So the same writer goes on to say, mainstream America is surprisingly self-serious with its pop offerings. Yes, there's a huge swath of musical ground for the participating musicians to cover, but American audiences are comfortable with a fairly limited menu of mainstream offerings. That means pop music, hip-hop, rock, country, and electronica could grow stale before too long, regardless of performers' talent. So far, televised American Song Contests have proven interchangeable. If the American Song Contest has a chance of matching its storied Euro inspiration, it needs to pair its clean-cut pop stars with an avalanche of colorful performers. Drag queens and rednecks, metalhead and wrecking crews, clowns, crooners, poets, goths, gospel singers, exhibitionists, traditionalists, neorealists, and everybody in between. So this writer from Esquire is pretty direct here. They said, let's just be frank, this is going to be a colossal nightmare. Once my initial excitement over seeing representatives from Pennsylvania and New Jersey got into a fist fight over a Wawa hoagie subsided. Oh my, I have to break real quick. For anybody that's not from the US or this region, Wawa is like a gas station / place where people actually go to get food. It's very popular in the Northeast, and people from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and that area think that Wawa is the greatest thing ever. So that's why that's funny. They realize that the concept of a stateside Eurovision is so far removed from what Eurovision has come to be that this could never work. We lack the self-deprecation, campiness, and selfless energy to pull this off. Not a read, just a fact. Now, this article from Vulture actually is titled, "The US will get its grubby paws on Eurovision with American Song Contest TV show." If you recently watched Netflix's Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga, and thought, hey, that was fun, but what if it were more American, then you're in luck. Honestly, from my opinion, that's one of the only reasons a lot of Americans even know what Eurovision is from that Netflix movie with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams.
Get back in there right now and play Yaya Ding Dong!
No, we are done for tonight.
So they quoted one of the producers saying that their aim is to heal our broken nation with the American Song Contest. But then they said, well-intentioned as it may be, why do we have a sinking suspicion that America will ruin the gloriously absurd, wonderfully weird, and distinctly European gem that is Eurovision? Plus, don't we have enough singing competitions? And they list a bunch. We have a ton in the US, man. I also did find some articles that were pretty positive, but to me, it kind of seemed a little pandering. Like it was almost like marketing and promotion and trying to tell people to go watch this because it's going to be awesome. But I also saw that there's other like popular signed artists that say they want to participate in this. So is that what we're going to get? Are we going to get a lot of signed bands that we already know that are just representing their states and territories? Or are we going to legitimately discover unknown acts from the US? And that's going to kind of lead us into like what I think about this whole thing. And as of right now, I don't think this is going to work well. I really don't. I think 2 seasons max right now on NBC, you'll see this show. That's it, man. Because as some of these other reporters mentioned, we are insanely oversaturated in the US with music shows and talent shows and stuff like this. So how is this going to be any different than a lot of the stuff that's already going on right now? Yes, it's getting very regional and it's including all of the states and stuff like that, but it's just really going to have to stand out to be something different because we've already got American Idol, America's Got Talent, The X Factor, and a ton of other stuff that's pretty similar to this. And as we were just mentioning, is this going to turn into like discovering unsigned bands and original musicians that we've never heard of in other states? Or is this going to be a popularity contest? Are we going to get a lot of entries that are going to be bands and artists that we've already heard of? Like Flo Rida has already said he wants to do this. Flo Rida's already huge, man. Like if we're going to throw him in there, then let's just have Nick Jonas represent Texas or Taylor Swift represent Tennessee or something like that, man, you know? Although, thinking about that, it could be funny to see some of these really big artists get involved in this and lose to somebody that's relatively unknown. The other reason I don't really think this is going to work, and this is the biggest thing for me, is that we take ourselves way too seriously in the US with a lot of things, man. I don't think we're going to have the sense of humor and the air of fun to really enjoy this as much as Eurovision. Like the first time an act comes on American Song Contest, it's like really absurd and goofy. The first gut initial reaction for a lot of people is going to be, what is this? Why is this here? People are going to take it way too seriously. They're not going to just have fun with it and think it's goofy and a fun time. They're going to literally judge it and be like, this is shit. Why is this on here? And I think that's something that Eurovision handles very well. We all know that there are a lot of entries from some countries that are just goofy. But it seems like a lot of people that watch Eurovision like to see that. I also think that Americans are really over the top die hard for the things they like and the places that they're from. And that's really going to affect this. For example, a lot of people that I know are very genre specific. A lot of people that like country don't like rock and metal. A lot of people that like rock and metal don't like pop and country. A lot of people that like hip hop don't like, country or rock and metal. There's going to be people that are going to be watching this and then voting on this that are so diehard for one of the genres that they like that they're going to immediately write off some of the other artists that are going to be on here. Also, I already feel like the voting on this is going to be so regional specific. There are states in the US that like literally have grudges against other states. And I feel like people are going to vote on this stuff based on the college football teams that they like. For example, Alabama could enter the greatest artist we've ever seen. And I don't think anybody's going to vote for Alabama just because of how much they hate Alabama's football team, which of course has nothing to do with music, but that's just how people in the US think. But I don't know everything. There's a good chance I could be wrong. I just think, in the short way to put it, we're already super oversaturated with, music contest shows in the US, and people don't have the humor and the fun that is necessary to enjoy something like this in the same way that people like Eurovision. I don't think this is going to translate the same, but we'll see, man. This kicks off in less than a month, March 21st. I'm definitely going to watch it and check it out. Maybe we'll talk about it on here, but I'd love to know what you guys think too. I personally, as an American, don't think this is going to go over well or translate the same way Eurovision does, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it as well. So feel free to leave a comment and maybe we'll come back to this once it starts.